Okay, okay, okay. Oh, hello, hello. Wow, it is so good to be back. How y'all doing? Well, today is just an amazing day. And I know we're getting work done, but during my work day, I had to take a pause and think, why am I here on this earth? How am I doing for you all? And I know I do a lot for the community, but I was thinking back to last week and I'm wondering, did y'all watch the Super Bowl? It was so amazing. The national anthem by Fred Beam and the other folks, I just, it was amazing to see them to do it and for it to be deaf people making history. And yeah, we are winning. And I'm grateful to see that. Some might have mixed feelings, but before the Super Bowl happened, the NFL called me for the Pro Bowl. And I said, you want me to do the national anthem, the Black national anthem? Lift every voice and sing? Me? For all of those people for the All-Star game? Okay, wow. And so I went ahead and I practiced. And there was an amazing singer, Brandy. And it was just beautiful. And then the church that was singing along with her, performing Lift Every Voice and Sing. It was a beautiful experience to see both of them. But unfortunately, it was not caught on TV. It was not published, even though you could see the signer on the big screen. I couldn't believe it. So I shared it with some people and they were like, no, I don't believe it. Really? I said, yeah, it happened. So I'm going to give y'all a little clip of this. It really happened. Y'all saw that? It really happened. I did not make this up, but I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But I want to know what's up. But before I dive in, let me give you a visual description. I have an ebony bush beard. I have locks of mixed colors that are pulled back behind me in a low ponytail. They're probably about 2 or 3 feet long. I'm a dark milk chocolate indigenous person that I get from my mom. I am a Blackfoot African individual in Cherokee. And that is not separate from who I am. And I'm wearing a black t-shirt with a yellow print that says hashtag Deaf Woke. And I'm your host. Antoine, PurpleFireCrow. And this is not my voice that you're hearing. We have two fabulous interpreters here with us today. Y'all want to see the amazing, beautiful souls that we have? Come on, interpreters. Come on, let me see you. Okay, we have interpreter Gloshanda. We have interpreter Val. And we want to thank you both for your amazing service and for you coming to be here tonight. We appreciate you. Tonight, we have an amazing, incredible, unique individual that we have for our guest. So come on, lean in and see who we got. This person is going to draw you to the screen to pay attention to their comments. This person works in deaf education, and as a consultant, they are in their PhD program, and they serve as a bridge between the classroom and the community, as well as analyzing the system power. They decided that deaf education is an important place and central for language access and acquisition. They advocate, they are pursuing their PhD in educational leadership and social justice at California State University. And we'll share more about that later. And I have a lot of questions about their research. Also, they are the president elect for the California Educators of the Deaf, making waves and shaking them up with their leadership. And it's not just about their love for the community, it's also about their love for their family. I can go on and on about them, but I won't, because this person is not just some little person hiding in humility. No, they have their hands in the dirt doing the work. And so it's not about them coming to brag about their titles, it's about them coming to show their support for the community, their experience, their love for the community, their love for their family. So please, those who are watching, send a big vibe and praise for Laura Fernandez. Yes, come on to the stage, Laura.
Hello, hi there. I appreciate the introduction. It was really heartfelt. Thank you.
Oh, it was all true. It was all true. And it is my biggest honor to have you here. So thank you so much for all that you do. And just know that we're watching. I'm watching.
Yeah,
My first question for you is, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm living. I'm taking it day by day, trying to look for all of the positive things in life that really help me remain inspired.
Yes. And I know it's not easy to do the things that you do, especially with how active you are in the community. And we want to know about you as a person, your background, where you grew up. Can you share a little bit about who you are with us?
Absolutely. I'm a Bay Area native. I grew up in California and I stayed pretty much local. I grew up in the K through 12 system here in the Vallejo Unified School District, not too far from San Francisco.
Yes, so you've been around deaf people your entire life, is that right?
Well, Once I went into deaf education, I was more exposed before then, not really. Really, my mom helps me and my brother because my brother and I are deaf. So she was the one who advocated for us.
Oh, that's nice. And it's cool to know you have deaf family members, rather than being the only deaf in the family.
Yeah, I'm fortunate.
So, Lala, wanting to know about who you are in your family. Tell us more about you and your family.
Yeah, so my family, my mom really ended up learning sign language, and I had some family members picking up a few classes. There's not many cousins or family members that did, but there was a few. And it was good to have at least one person who was able to sign fluently in the beginning as I grew up. So that's how they really advocated for me.
And that's a bond that's formed, right?
Yeah, it was really easy to access my mom because we can communicate through sign language instead of missing each other and not having that communication with one another.
Okay, so sister, mom, yeah, and then with other families, you might not have that communication. Is that how it was for you?
Yeah, it was a bit isolating at times. I can speak and hear a little bit, but of course it's not 100%. And family is, wants to engage with me, but then it becomes superficial because they're attempting to engage with me in spoken language and in terms of visualizing. I wish that I could have an interpreter or captions whenever I talk to family. If that was possible, it'd be cool.
Yeah. So did you have access to sign language when you were in school?
It's 50-50. I didn't go to a deaf institute. I mainstreamed throughout my entire life. In elementary school, I was a part of a DHH program, which meant that I was surrounded by other deaf peers within the same group. And so we were able to engage and talk with one another. But then in middle school, I became the only, or I want to say one or two deaf people throughout the entire class. So it was pretty isolating.
So someone asked, PhD, what does that mean? Can you share with us what a PhD is?
Oh, I'm not sure what I said when I signed that. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
You were talking about
Oh,
mainstream.
you're talking about DHH. Oh, yes. So that's an acronym for deaf and hard of hearing. So it's not most, but some are mainstream schools where they have a niche program specifically for deaf and hard of hearing children. And this is not present in all elementary settings, but I was lucky to go to one that had this program.
Yeah, and we have a lot of schools closing in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But we have to realize that it's still worth it. It's important for deaf students because not all can go to the schools for the deaf. We have to think about what's the best fit for every individual. So you talked about mainstreaming, and would you say the same thing that it's individually based for deaf and hard of hearing individuals?
Huh. In all honesty, it really depends on each individual, and the best environment is dependent on that. Having peers, having role models. If we go to a deaf institute, you're going to have a plethora, right? But sometimes a deaf institute is not, or a deaf school is not an option because of maybe distance or commute barriers. And so having alternative programs where you can still have access to deaf teachers, folks who are fluent in American Sign Language is really another good option.
Yes, and like you said, it's based on the individual and what the best fit is for them in regards to the environment, representation. So it seems we're on the school topic now. We just happened to be discussing this. But being a researcher, well, I don't want to identify you. How do you identify yourself?
So I have several identities in my intersection. So I'm Latina, I'm deaf, I'm a woman, a mother. I'm also, again, these are a bunch of intersectional identities that vary that I carry as an individual.
That's cool. And some people might be watching who might be blind or low vision. So, how would you describe what you look like for our audience?
Yeah, so my image description is I am sitting. I'm a Latina woman with curly brown hair. I have a long sleeve that is gray. I am in an office with a bookshelf behind me on my right side, and then a table with a printer and a shredder on my left side. So that's me. I'm in my office, and I have a white wall behind me as well.
Okay, so growing up in school, and you don't have to answer this, but I'm a Bay Area resident too. I'm curious, what high school did you go to?
Yeah, I went to Hogan, Hogan High School, which is mostly hearing peered school.
Okay, I went to Skyline High School,
Oh, in Oakland. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
the top of the hill.
Yeah, but the views are phenomenal.
Yes, that's a pro. I will definitely say. What I hated was going up that hill and my ears popping. But I will say another positive to that is that a lot of um, Tom Hanks was an actor who also attended that school.
Yeah, yeah. So Hogan High School had several musicians who ended up graduating from the high school. You know, E40, right?
Yeah.
They're well known for E40 who graduated from Hogan. Let's see. I mean, there's a few other famous individuals, like race car drivers, musicians. I mean, yeah, they produce famous individuals for sure.
Oh, do you feel like that school inspired you for what you wanted to be later in life? Or was there a moment where you just were enlightened and you said, as a deaf person, I want us to thrive?
I feel my mom was a great support. In addition to the deaf community, they helped me become engaged and involved with the community. I went to several deaf events and I was around a lot of deaf individuals. And I realized that really I had a lot of potential. And my mom never made me feel like I was limited or I was unable to do anything. She empowered me to know that I can accomplish whatever I set, whether it was to go to college or do whatever I wanted to. And so, I remember there's an essay that talked about a specific experience that talked a lot about how I was isolated as a deaf student in this mainstream classroom with an interpreter. And, I kind of elaborated on that idea. And in college, really, it really helped me. It didn't help me understand how to engage in research. Didn't really prepare me. It was more of like, let's see what I'd like to do. At that time, I wasn't aware that I would get involved with education or get a bachelor's degree. I didn't have those aspirations.
Okay, so what did you get your BA in?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's in parks and recreation and tourism. And the reason for that is because I grew up volunteering and I worked with children. I worked at a deaf camp, a day camp. Really, I loved engaging with kids. This has always been something that I've enjoyed throughout my life. And so when I got my bachelor's, I realized that I wanted to change my career.
So, how did that change your life? What happened to encourage you to make that change?
Yeah, so my son and daughter were born while I was in college, while I was getting my bachelor's degree. And my son, once I graduated, I gave birth to my son. And so I decided to take some time off to focus on rearing my children, spending time with my family. And it really gave me space to consider what I wanted to do with after my bachelor's. I was really unsure. And so I found a program of age 0 to 5 at a school with a deaf and hard of hearing program. It had a mix of hearing and deaf children alike. And there was aides there. I remember my role gave me different responsibilities. Sometimes I'd be a substitute teacher. Sometimes I would do event planning. And I developed a lot of skills at this particular job. And that's when I realized that I was able to see myself in the children that I was working with. It was a mostly hearing environment. And I thought, what would I have wanted to see as a child if I was a part of that program? And some people would say, oh no, these children don't have language. But I was like, oh my goodness, no, you have to move your body. There's a part of a facial expression. Maybe they can't sign, but they might be able to produce somewhat of the sign. And I was able to catch it and kind of show that to my hearing coworkers. So that sparked something in me, right? Where I was able to identify these attempts of communicating and really give proof to the admin and the staff there that this was a form of communication. Whether or not it was full sentences, it was still words, signed words that a child was attempting to express, and there could have been other multiple disabilities occurring simultaneously with the deaf child, but it really inspired me to pursue becoming a teacher. And I really delved into education and decided to change my career at that moment. And I went back to school for a deaf and hard of hearing credential, in alignment with my bachelor's degree. So that's kind of where the shift happened. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, you really did roll up your sleeves and get to work. You weren't timid about it. You weren't worried about it. You just dove in and you said, let's go, team. So, how did that feel to trailblaze in that way?
Honestly, it felt lonely, in all honesty, because I felt like I had to do it. If it wasn't me, who else, right? Who would do the work?
Exactly right.
Yeah, and I felt like the children deserve to have a deaf role model. It's critical, it's essential, not just access to sign language, but they have to have a deaf person who understands them as a deaf child or a hard of hearing child. And even if they're in a mainstream program, someone who's able to support them. They typically, in a mainstream program, you'll have a hearing teacher, hearing aides, individuals who are just not privy to deaf culture and the nuances that come with communication. Um, so I really found it pleasurable. I enjoyed working with these deaf children, and that's what really sparked my motivation.
And so, yeah, there are other cultures within the deaf culture. You mentioned intersectionality and wanting to support the intersectional identities of other kids. And in America, there are some people who come here who speak Spanish and use sign language. I'm wondering, are you noticing any big barriers for those communities?
Absolutely, especially as a teacher, I see many barriers with families who often come from another country. And if I'm speaking, let's say, at my school, there's a lot of students who are Spanish speakers. They come from Spanish speaking families. And the deaf education system, the support often excludes Spanish speaking family, or they're just ignorant to how to support or where to find resources, how to communicate, because you're working with Spanish and English and then attempting to communicate in sign language or introduce sign language. That was one of the reasons. Another reason I want to say that I delved into education. I want to say, unfortunately, I'm not fluent in Spanish. My family is. They ended up moving from El Salvador. They moved to the United States when they were about 12, my family members, my mom rather. So they all are fluent in Spanish, but I am not, unfortunately.
And so, knowing that there are folks who speak Spanish and use other sign languages, what should people do to improve on breaking down those barriers? How do we break those barriers?
Allow all language repertoires to be used in the classroom and do not prevent people from accessing the languages that they have. Unfortunately, I'm not fluent and I wish that I was. And one of the things that I think is needing a role model who speaks Spanish so that they can engage with the children in Spanish. With me, I didn't have that. There was so many barriers and I was unable to get that. And had I had an interpreter who was trilingual, someone fluent in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language who could have support that integration, maybe looked at ASL and translated it or interpreted it into English and Spanish, it could have been helpful.
Yes. So, how many years has it been now that you've been in the field?
Yeah, I've been in deaf education for over 10 years.
Oh, wow. And you said that you are the president of what?
Yeah, I'm the president-elect. I was recently elected as the president for the California Education of Deaf, the board that's there, I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to, you know, rolling up my sleeves and doing some work there.
Well, congratulations. And tell us about that organization and what's the importance of it.
Yeah, so it's really unique because it's niche within the deaf and hard of hearing or deaf education program. I've been on several boards. I was on the board for several years, whether it was a community liaison. I did that for another organization too, where I supported hearing families who had deaf children. I would host annual conferences, webinars, everything in regards to deaf education, not solely for the deaf individuals, but also for hearing teachers, anyone who wanted to be exposed to deaf education. I would hand out resources. And that was something that I thought was beneficial to the community. And I always look forward to their conference every year. They have great topics.
Yes, I have been there a few times. One that was in Sacramento, and I thought it was so cool and heart touching. And, thinking about public schools and private schools and DHH programs, I just feel like, our love for it never stops. Just like with you, you're at it 24/7 with children and families, and then the children and families outside of your home, let alone those in your home.
That's true.
And I mean, you don't have to answer this, but I mean, you have children, right?
Yeah, I have two kids. I have a son who's 13 and a daughter who's now 19.
Woo.
I know, don't remind me.
So you're dealing with teenagers again.
Oh boy, my son just turned 13, that 13-year-old syndrome, but I have to say I'm dealing with young kids all day, not just in the classroom, but also at home.
What is one thing that just blows your mind about motherhood?
Personally, what feels mind-blowing about motherhood is that it's not easy, and it's not for the weak-hearted. You have to have a strong heart in order to become a parent.
I feel you. I feel you. I have major respect for moms and their perseverance. You bring humans into the world. I can never deny the superpower of moms.
Thank you.
So maybe you have a good sign for this. I'm sure there are different signs for it. But how do you sign Latina?
It's so fascinating when it comes to that term because people ask me that question often, right? We see various signs like this one here, there's another variation on the shoulder, and then there's really the direct translation for this sign here on the forehead is Mexico, and then the one here on the shoulder is for Spanish. So really, I saw a sign that really intrigued me. And I haven't really incorporated or looked at the translation, but there's this one here with the two hands. And I like it best because I've seen this one here on the shoulder that is for Spanish, but I like the two hands because it's really inclusive. It's not really centralizing one place. It centralizes an entire continent. So I might end up using that sign.
Okay, we might spark something here. Okay. I like that sign too. So, being a Latina mother who is deaf and a leader, thinking about your work trajectory from the past until now, what do you feel is different now? What do you feel is empowering you to move forward? Or do you feel like you're reaching other barriers and pitfalls?
Yeah, the areas I feel like can make progress is with being within a union. With my current workplace, I'm extremely involved with the union, and I've learned a lot about the politics surrounding education, not only deaf education, but just general education as a whole, and the impact that it has on the direct impact on the students, whether they're hearing or deaf students. And being a part of that, I learned so much, and I don't see a lot of deaf educators involved in the union. So I decided to immerse myself, and I've attempted to teach my deaf peers about the union, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you know, as a deaf adult, you can engage. And sometimes hearing individuals they get awkward whenever they run into a deaf adult. So it's really fascinating that they're all educators, yet when they see me as a deaf adult, they kind of freeze up and don't know how to approach me or engage with me. So I found it really helpful to engage, not only to support the deaf community, but to also support the educators as well.
Yes. And so you were elected as president and you're doing so much. And if I read this right, you're in your doctoral research program and you're focusing on the lived experience of deaf adults. Does that mean you'll be getting your PhD? Is that what you're doing?
Yes. So I'm working for specifically an EDD, which is like a PhD, but with a focus and concentration in education. But I will essentially be a doctor this upcoming spring, the spring of this year. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. So my dissertation and research is about my lived experience and really looking at the Latina identity and how there is a gap and a loss, and there's no connection to the culture, and looking at the history of that deprivation, right? You see a lot about culture for deaf identity, but when it comes to my Latina culture, it's really slim to none. I didn't know much about myself, so I'm researching to see how I've developed that for myself.
I agree. I was chatting with someone who moved to America and they felt like, oh, where are my people? And looking at the books, it would make you think that, the men that they're talking about are not real people. Like they didn't ask the people. Are you planning to write a book and sell it?
I do in the future.
Okay.
Once my dissertation and research is completed and I graduated, I do have people coming up to me encouraging me to publish a book. And so I want to figure out how to share the information, but I do see that in my future.
1 second here. Let me change something. I'm trying to type your name.
Yes, so yeah, this is a doctor. You can, yeah, we'll add it. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Because I want to see that. I want to see it. But ooh, your research is so positive and powerful. And you're not afraid of making that shift. And we need to be seen and heard.
Yeah, I agree. It's critical. And that's why I'm doing what I do. I feel as if we have the deaf identity and the oppression that comes with it, right? And then we look at the additional identity of race, and then there's other forms of oppression that we encounter. Unless we are white and deaf, we have the oppression from deafness. But then when you incorporate being a brown or black person, it shifts. It's much different.
Yeah, you talk about centering language access and self advocacy in your work, and you talk about bilingualism and having that language equity because the system is often not ready to hear that. Do you think the system is ready to hear you?
I feel like the system will never be ready to hear that truth. And it will take all of us to speak up and express ourselves, because when we decide not to, then individuals will not know who we are, what the problem is. It will remain hidden. So I'm looking at my work within the hearing, the union as a deaf individual, and they have no idea when it comes to deaf culture or deaf education as a whole. So they struggle, right? They think that everything is good and peachy when it comes to deaf education. But again, it's because a lot of deaf individuals have not yet been involved to advocate, to express the issues at hand. And we need that.
And what do we need?
Access. We need access to language justice.
Yes. There is an important book that people could read to understand these concepts.
I mean, there's several books. There's one right behind me. There's several that you can read. There's one book that I've recently read that helps me gain a better understanding about the United States,
What was that?
oppression, and really understanding the foundation. It's called The Caste. I can bring it up and show it to everyone. Give me 1 second.
Oh, please do.
Here it is.
Oh, wow.
So The Caste, it was a book that helped me really understand the gaps in our systems. And it's not prevalent just in the education system, it's within all systems that exist in the United States. And as a Latina woman reading this book, it hit home. It really impacted me. I have another book too that I would recommend. Let's see, one moment.
Oh, I want to go to your library.
Found it. Yeah, a great collection.
For brown girls with sharp edges and tender hearts. Oh, that's a fascinating topic.
This one took my breath away. It was extremely impactful because it gave me the vocabulary to categorize and label experiences and biases and the forms of oppression that racism unfolds for us. And they're not minor impacts. We look at the microaggressions and how they fit our experience. Oh my goodness, it was life-changing for me as a brown woman.
Thank you for sharing that. Now I have a book too that I also want to share.
Yeah.
White Supremacy is All Around. And this book is by a disabled woman who wants to dismantle supremacist systems. It's pretty good. It's a good book. A Bay Area person too.
It's awesome.
I hope you'll read it. Our little book exchange.
Yeah, definitely exchange book.
Oh, you have a full heart, and I know that you're mostly volunteering, and I'm sure you get paid in some ways, but you are a mother 24 hours out of a day. And what I've learned is that children don't pay their mothers, and apparently I'll do that for free.
I wish.
So how do you balance motherhood, advocacy, being a leader, being a teacher, being your family? How do you balance it all?
I will share a good analogy that really helps me understand how I'm able to balance everything that I have on my plate. So one woman has explained something that I felt resonated. We all have busy lives. This is a reality that everybody has multiple plates that they are holding. And if you envision, let's say, like a clown trying to knock these plates off, they're balancing on sticks, right? They're spinning on these sticks and you're trying to balance them. But of course, sometimes a plate is going to fall over, right? It's inevitable. When one plate represents family, the other is school, the other is work, the other is your self-care, right? These are all plates that we're spinning and attempting to balance. And maybe one will fall. But the important thing is not to drop the same plate every time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I am exhausted. Okay, I'm not going to hide it. I am exhausted. I have sleep deprivation right now. But the important thing is that I have these plates and they all take their turn when it comes to falling.
Listen, you said it. You said it. I'm mind blown that you said that one. So, for redesigning deaf education, starting from the ground up, what are the things that you would keep? And what are the things that you would do away with? And how do you actually build what you envision?
I will not say that we need to remove the deaf institutions. That's not true, but we need to look at the environment, and we need to look at a regional school where we can come together, because California only has 2 deaf schools, which is insufficient. We need more than just these 2 schools. We need regionals around them, because these 2 schools are too far, and oftentimes individuals are unable to register to enroll because of barriers when it comes to commute or transportation or affordability. So I think the biggest thing is, if we were to have regional schools, we were that require to have deaf educators fluent in ASL, that would be something I would emphasize, right? Having an appropriate curriculum as well, because there is a gap in the way that curriculum is designed. It needs to be specifically created for deaf and hard of hearing students. A lot of the curriculum is based on auditory and pronunciation and auditory learning, but deaf individuals and hard of hearing individuals often struggle. How are we expected to learn to read if those are the only options we have, right? Really, we can create American Sign Language as a standard throughout all curriculum, right? Looking at the core curriculum, we could possibly move, I mean, I'm not going to move places, but the education is the same when it comes from state to state. So really looking at the curriculum.
I agree. And I did grow up in the mainstream, and I was the only deaf student for a long time.
Wow.
And I was in a hearing school, and I was the only deaf person there. And most of the time, there weren't many deaf people. I would say I wasn't really sure who my deaf role model would be in the future as a Black person, because I had Black hearing folks and the other people were white and deaf. So my intersectional identities weren't taken into consideration. And it wasn't until later that I found a role model, and it changed everything for me. Who was your role model?
If you speak of deaf and Latina and a woman, I cannot say that I have a role model currently that embodies all 3. I would say the folks that are involved in deaf education are white. And as a teacher, I am the only brown teacher on my team. That includes contracted staff agencies, not including them, the contracting agency interpreters, but actual staff in the school is mostly white. But however, our students encompass 90% of Black and brown children. And that is one thing that you're absolutely right, worth mentioning, that we need to shift, and we need to look at deaf education through a lens of diversity, because we have many folks from various ethnic backgrounds who need to see themselves reflected, who need to be able to have a role model they can look up to. I did not have one, and I grew up with many challenges, especially developing my Latina identity. It was difficult.
Do you have anyone that you look up to, whether hearing or deaf? Do you have someone, or is there no one at all?
Yeah, that's Latina. I'm not sure, but I want to say in general, if we're looking at the deaf education system, the first time I really got into it in the political realm, I had 2. I was involved with the California Deaf Education Board. One individual was with me. She was the former president. Jeanette was her name, and she really helped me. She saw me and really inspired me to get involved in the political aspect of deaf education. And the second one was Julie Rams Samario. When I first started getting involved in deaf education, Julie was a huge support. She helped me with my engagement, making sure that I was introduced to the right people, helped me with networking, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, they are both beautiful humans. I know them both. Yeah. Maybe we should ask them to join the show one day.
Absolutely. That would be a great guest, and you would have a wonderful conversation with Julie for sure.
Yeah, we might need to invite them on a panel and ask them some questions. I really want to say, you know, thinking about having a panel of people and asking them questions that could inspire other people. Thinking about different names and role models brings me to the next part of the show. We always play this game. Yeah, yeah. Hashtag Deaf Woke.
Woo!
So, if you don't know the name, but you have an idea, you can give that, even if it's just an initial. Or you can say, oh, that person used to be on that TV show, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So we'll give clues. And if that clue doesn't help, then we'll go ahead with the answer. So the first person is deaf, native of DC, Maryland, and Virginia, is an Afro Latina influencer. She is featured on hashtag Deaf Woke Artistic Wellness, a movement to promote mental health and empowerment. She was on Jennifer Hudson's talk show and a Ford commercial with her son driving a car. And the car was hands free technology. Do you know who?
Oh gosh. God, I follow them on social media. Oh gosh. And after I watched it, I remember I was really inspired by this person. I think it was Arlene. Is that right?
You got it. Arlene.
Right,
Yeah,
Arlene.
just a beautiful person. Here's the next one. This is a deaf individual again, a native of New York. They are known as Manny ASL. They are storyteller and professional ASL storyteller. They have a motto that storytelling ignites the power of knowledge. They establish good rapport with children of all ages by making them laugh. Do you know who?
Oh gosh, in all honesty, I can't remember the name, but I know who you're talking about. I can see this person in my head. Yes, yes. And I actually shared his stories with my students. There we go, Mario. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Mario Hernandez. Oh, he makes so many people laugh. He's so cool. And I love his pose in that picture. Oh, wait. I went too fast. Okay, you saw a little bit. So this is a family. They're hearing. This family is from a family TV show. And we have an assembly line worker and a family man. Their children, Max and Carmen. And they just make life so complicated for the mom. Who is that?
Oh gosh. Again, trivia. I am not good when it comes to trivia. Oh, George Lopez. I should have known that.
Yes, that's one of my favorite actors. Believe it or not, one of my favorite.
He's hilarious, and I love the music from the TV show too.
Yes. Okay, this is a hearing person from New York and is a Muppet character, okay, for a children's TV show. And they are 3.5 years old and they are red and furry and a monster.
What? Okay, okay.
Always giggling. And their favorite food is wasabi. And they say, but it's a sometime food. Who is that?
I'm going to guess Elmo.
Yes.
So funny.
Oh, we're old friends. We used to be friends. Okay, we have a deaf family from Southern California. They have deaf children, and their platform focuses on advocacy for children experiencing hearing loss to learn American Sign Language. They are on YouTube, social media. Do you know who they are?
Oh my gosh, I have a feeling. I feel bad because I watch them all the time, but now that I have to guess, I can't remember their names.
Let me give you a clue.
I've seen them, yes. Oh my gosh, but their names escape me. And oh gosh, you tell me the face and I'm able to remember who, but the names, they, nope. Oh yes, yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, it's Stephanie and Oscar.
Yes, it's Stephanie and Oscar, that family. They are the Arevalo family. Oh, you're getting a little bit dark in there.
Let me turn on the light. This is better, yeah. I realized the light next to me. I completely forgot to change it. Are you able to see me by any chance?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot. I have lighting next to me, but I forgot to change it. It's from Halloween and it was a red bulb. My mistake.
Okay, we have a Coda/Deaf, native of Baltimore, Maryland, who was a guest on the show. They are a child of deaf adults and author of a children's book. My deaf friend can do anything you can do. And they're inspired by their mom. Do you know who was on the previous Deaf Folk show?
I remember, but I've watched it and I have this book too. I know that. Oh my God, the coloring book. I have the ABC coloring book. But again, when it comes to the name, nope. Oh my gosh, I can't recall the name and I have the book.
Yes, I have the book too. Tanisha and Tanya. Oh, I love and miss them. I need to bring them back on the show again.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a hearing person from Lake Jackson, Texas, who is a singer and known as the Queen of Tejano music. Her contributions to fashion and is a Mexican American entertainer of the 20th century. And all over the world, best-selling female artist in Latin music. Do you got a feeling who this could be?
Oh my gosh, I have to know. This is Selena.
Are you sure?
I don't know that one. Am I wrong? Don't play.
Gotcha. Yes, we got Selena. You were like, I ain't gonna be wrong about this one.
I couldn't be wrong. I knew it.
Okay, we're almost done. This is a hearing person from Yuma, Arizona. They are a labor leader and civil rights activist and co-founder of the National Farm Workers Association. And they merged with the Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee to become United Farm Worker Labor Union. Blank Day is proclaimed by President Obama and is a federal commemorative holiday, and that happened in 2014. Do you know who this is?
Yes, I do. I can see the face in my head, in my brain, but I told you, trivia is not my game. Okay, I don't remember the name. I know who. I visualize them in my head.
Think, what's the first letter? What could it be?
Oh God, yes, Cesar Chavez.
Yes, Cesar Chavez.
I have an old picture and I kept seeing that picture in my mind, but sadly, so my email has a quote about him. You know, I should have known.
Yes, yes. There is a school in San Francisco named after him.
That's right.
And it's a deaf mainstreaming program.
Yeah, my family grew up on Cesar Chavez Street in San Francisco. So before the name was changed to Cesar Chavez, but I know some teachers who actually work at the school as well.
That's cool. And a fun fact.
Yeah.
This person is from Naranjito, Puerto Rico, and has made history as the first Puerto Rican sign language performer in the Super Bowl, and signed as Bad Bunny's official interpreter. And that's the sign name for Bad Bunny? Okay. And so this person was the official interpreter for him from 2022 to 2025. This person performed during the Super Bowl halftime show while Bad Bunny sung in Spanish. Who is this person?
This is, so I know the name because her name keeps coming up recently. It's Steve, I might be spelling it wrong, but Salimar, right? Yes, Salimar.
Yes, Selima Rivera Goldsman. I love that. Oh, and when she was holding that flag in that picture.
Yes, and her interpretation and performance for Super Bowl was just beautiful.
This is a deaf person from Texas who's also proud Puerto Rican and Afro-Latino. He performed in different performances across Texas and the United States and performed America the Beautiful in ASL during the Super Bowl. He was the first person to be a Puerto Rican performer and sign Puerto Rican Sign Language for the halftime show.
Yeah, that's Julian. I forgot the last name, but Julian, right? Yes.
Yes, Julian Ortiz. Yes, yes, yes. Look at that.
Oh gosh, I enjoyed watching the interpretation.
Oh, this is a hard one. This is a hearing person. I'm sorry, hearing people. But a native of Bayamon, Puerto Rico, is a rapper, singer, and a recorded producer. And their real name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. This person did perform and did so speaking Spanish for those who are Pan-American. And the motto is the only thing more powerful than hate is love. Who is this?
Hey, who's that? Bad Bunny.
Say it, yeah, Bad Bunny. And guess what? You won.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. Look at you performing on the show. Wow, you really know your stuff. Well, we are almost finished, but before we do that, I know there are audience members with burning questions. So those of you who want to ask a question, you can go ahead and type it in the chat box, whether that be on Facebook, YouTube, or other platforms you might be watching on. And you can direct message me as well. Are we ready? People got big questions for you. Let's give the people a minute and let the interpreters rest their voices. One person says, I'm sure you have advice for hearing people in the deaf community, but what advice do you have for deaf community people who are in education and advocacy and supporting families?
Yeah, I'd say be fearless, do what's right. Oftentimes people are afraid, they're held back by fear. But in all honesty, if we don't express ourselves, you will never be heard. And that's how I felt before. It is critical to say the truth, and please don't let fear hold you back.
Yes. Another question. What was your worst experience as a deaf teacher in the system?
Finding out that I was the only brown person on my team, because
Mm,
in all honesty, I had to do all of the heavy lifting, the hard work when it came to other cultures. I had to make sure to expose the students to so many different cultural traditions, backgrounds. And will that still happen if I leave or if I'm not there? That's something I think about. And I am the only brown teacher, which means that I am taking on this workload to do that work, not only for my students, but also I'm teaching hearing white deaf people, or I'm teaching hearing people about our deaf culture too.
what advice do you have for those who want to pursue deaf education with the barriers out there?
Persistence, keep going, don't give up. There will be barriers you encounter, and you might have a moment where you want to give up, but you have to remember your why and just and keep going. Persist. Remember what your goal is. Remember who your models are. Find your inspiration. And also, one more thing I'd like to add is that you must meet. I want to add one more thing. It's important to become involved, network, especially learning the political aspect of deaf education will help you, which means you have to go to conferences, learn, take webinars. Yeah.
How do you balance everything? Being a mom, getting your PhD, working full time, all of it. And what do you do for self care?
For self-care, I find it very important. I have two things. Is going out to nature, whether that's the beach, the river, the forest, going out on hikes. And the second thing is meditation. It
Mm,
really Meditation gives me the time to feel grounded, and it's helped me a lot. If it wasn't for these two things, I'm honestly unsure what I would do. They help me so much.
So, how do you do it? Do you breathe? Do you be still? Do you dance?
Honestly, there's various ways, like what you've mentioned. My form is to do calm breathing. I do like to dance as a form of meditation, and I also like to do a walking meditation. I am able to feel the fresh air, which really helps me ground myself.
Okay, I'm seeing what the other folks are saying here.
Oh, I also want to add one more thing before I forget.
Mhm.
Another form of my self care is that it has to be intentional, which means that I have to reserve time to care for myself.
Mhm. Someone here is asking, let's see what it says, the most exciting moment as a teacher where you felt like you just achieved it, you did it.
I have a few, well, several, and it's hard to pick one, but the one that comes to mind is when I first started teaching, I realized that there was a lot of students who come up to me at the age of 3 or 4, and they were language deprived. They had no way to communicate. And I remember this specific boy didn't sign, didn't speak, very, very little language. And I was concerned about his ability to acquire language. And I remember for St. Patrick's Day, we usually do the elf, right? Who comes and damage the classroom. They'll come and destroy things. They'll leave their footprints, right? In the morning, that boy came. The whole class lined up. That boy, I remember, it was the first time he started to express himself in sign language and started using actual sentences and full phrases and explaining what he was seeing, like, hey, look at the prints of the elf. And this was the first time. And I knew that he was going to become successful from that day forward. It really inspired me.
Oh, don't make me mess up my makeup. Oh,
Honestly, I already did.
just goosebumps. Ooh. And you know what? Taking that step for you as president or president elect, what are your goals? What do you want to focus on as president?
I would like to uplift the deaf community within the deaf education system. The community, we need to know that we are not alone. We are out there. Oftentimes, deaf educators feel if they are not at a deaf institute surrounded by deaf peers, that they are isolated, working in silos. But we can come together as a community and collaborate and find a sense of connection. We don't have to reinvent the wheel again. When we're able to share resources, we're able to build off of one another.
Yes. It says, Antoine, you are an artist, a dancer, and many other things. Laura, are you an artist? Do you have a hidden artist inside?
Absolutely. I don't have one type of skill or specific art that I like to focus on. Dance, I love dancing as an art. I used to take classes in college. So I do enjoy dancing and I dance often, again, as a form of self-care. I love listening to music and feeling the vibrations and dancing it out.
Oh, okay. So time is running out, audience. While we're chatting, you can type your questions in the chat. Okay, let's see. How do I sign this question? Hmm. This is interesting. In true language justice, we look beyond what do you call true language justice? And interpreter missed that word.
Yeah, so the real language justice comes looking at the empowerment of identity or the power of identity, being able to have the deaf perspective of survival. That's a mechanism of survival too. When we have all of these things, we're able to have justice. You have language justice. If you don't have any of these formations, then there will be a gap. And also, being able to use all of these tools without being marginalized, without being erased, is important.
Yes, and that is looking beyond language competency. And yes, we catching what you're putting down. Time is running out. But it doesn't end here with Laura. You can check their Instagram at mslaura_f. And they are open. They're open to chat with you, but their account is private. So maybe they can send a message to get support.
So this Instagram is public. It's open to the public. But to let you know, I do like to share little posts and things. I don't post often. I have a private Instagram and I'm going to keep that private.
Guard that energy. But you are always there for the community and you are president. So the people will be able to email you eventually, right?
Yeah.
And again, you can follow Laura there. And when you get your PhD, please don't forget the little people like me.
Oh, I will not. I need your help. Absolutely.
Bring us along.
Absolutely. We'll do it together.
And this seems to be one of your favorite signs. I see you do this a lot, and I love it.
Yeah, we have to uplift.
Do you have another favorite sign?
Really, leadership is another one.
Leadership.
Yeah, to lead, right? And to keep going. There's like movement, like you're constantly being pulled, persisting.
Hmm. And leaders don't just mean that you are leading, it means that you are also bringing other folks along with you.
I agree. I was also pulled, and we're also pulling folks along with us.
And that's community doing community. Well, we're done for tonight, but do you have any burning thoughts you absolutely must share because we didn't get to it in the interview and you feel it's part of your truth?
If I'm thinking about success and how I would define it, I would say, please, everyone, be authentic. Don't be afraid to be your true self. You don't have to mask, you don't have to hide yourself and present a specific thing to everyone around you. Just be authentic. You will get far with authenticity.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to hashtag Deaf Woke.
Thank you for having me.
We hope to see more of you. And when you finish your book, please come back and interview again.
Will do, and I'll let you know when it happens.
Thank you so much for coming. Much love to you.
Bye. Much love. Good night.
Wow. That is Laura, an amazing person to interview. And I'll share my final thoughts that I learned from this. You know, we're all from different backgrounds, and sometimes, myself included, living in Oakland in the Bay Area, but realizing there are folks with different experiences, but the same goal. And that goal is to see our deaf intersectional identity individuals thrive. And we are here on a happy Thursday thriving. We are striving to have good days. We're thriving through all the days. We're thriving through days of calm. And we have someone who is working 24/7 as a mom, as someone who's going to school, supporting folks in schools, teaching, supporting outside of the school system, and just being so active and celebrated. And that's why we celebrate you, Laura. Oof, for all you've done. And now, the president for Cal Ed means that she'll be even more busy. And she's not giving up. So, what's your excuse? We're not stopping. We can do it. And of course, every situation is different, but your dreams don't have to stop. Keep sharing your love in what you do. Just like Laura said, be yourself. Keep going and uplift. Though you see individuals struggling, uplift them. Those who are striving, uplift them. Don't dismiss those who are weak. And don't be a person consumed with ego. Uplift and help others soar like butterflies. It's such a big pleasure to have Laura on our show. We're wishing you all the best, Laura. Wow. Thank you so much to all of you for coming, for watching tonight. Thank you, Laura. Thank you to the interpreters. Thank you to Intersection of the Arts. Thank you to our audience and you. Thank you to Borealis Philanthropy for their support, because sometimes we need more support for interpreters for access. So we want to thank their program. Also, thank you to the Urban Jazz Dance Company staff for all that they do to help with the design and the promotions. I care about you and I thank you. We can't do it without them. And again, those of you watching, thank you. And thank you for your questions and for being involved and following along. We appreciate you. And I'll just say it again, thank you. So, with the hearts and the love, go ahead, send them on. And if you would like to donate to keep our program going, to support hashtag Deaf Woke, you can go to our website, which is www.realurbanjazzdance.com. Sometimes folks will message me and say, how do I support you? This is how you do it. Send your donations there. And just, I love doing this. I love to learn. I love learning and being here. And by the way, happy Black History Month. You know, there's so many amazing artists out there, deaf artists. And I want to leave by sharing a story. Thank you, interpreters. Thank you, everyone. Let's dance it out, actually. And keep yourself and each other in peace and love. And I'm out. Okay, we ready? Oh, oh, peace, love, I'm out.